We are 10 picks into the NBA draft. That means the Cleveland Cavaliers are up in 10 more picks. So I'm Mikey McNuggets, and we're going to hang out, talk some hoops, some ball, and some NBA draft until the Cavaliers are on the clock. Then we'll do some instant reaction to who they've selected. But this is the Ultimate Cavs Show coming at you for at least the next hour, starting right now. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Mikey McNuggets here, hanging out with you guys for the next hour or so. I tried to wait 10 picks because you know how a draft could go. It could take forever. It's moving kind of slow, and then the last 3 picks have flown in. So I guess 9 o'clock would be pick 10. It ended up being 9:10 for the 10th pick. So here we are. Let's run through the draft so far and talk about some of the picks that have been made already. Then we'll look at some prospects still on the board for the Cavs, and then I'm going to just talk some ball with you guys. I'll read some comments. We'll go back and forth. If you have questions, by all means, ask away. I'll do my best to get to them all. As you can notice, we changed up the background a little bit. Notice something over my shoulder here. Had to buy a bookshelf to make sure that was on easy display for everyone to see as we move forward. So, let's get into it. The draft at the top of the draft went as expected. Risa Shea went first to Atlanta, the 6'8" wing. I found it pretty interesting that during the Risa Shea explanation, ESPN called him a 3-and-D role player, which if you're drafting a guy first overall, that is not exactly what you're hoping to get, but he does have upside. He was not the consensus number 1 overall player in this draft, but heading into tonight, there was not really a lot of surprise at who the number 1 overall pick was going to be in Atlanta. We'll see what they do with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, but Risa Shea is the number 1 overall pick. Alex Sarr was a lock to Washington at number 2. He did not even work out for Atlanta. He did not want to go to Atlanta. He wanted to end up in Washington where he could have a bigger, more prominent role as a rookie, take time to develop. He's the big man out of France. He was compared to Evan Mobley in the pre-draft process, and you would think in a draft class that really had no consensus top pick, a draft class that has been widely regarded as the worst in 20 years, if Evan Mobley was in this class, he'd be the number 1 overall pick. I wonder if Sarr would have been one had he worked out for Atlanta, but he did not, and he falls to number 2. Reed Sheppard from Kentucky goes number 3 to Houston. He is by far the best shooter in this class. If he wasn't 6'1" tall, he probably would have been a top 2 pick, but he's 6'1", and 6'1" guys don't often get selected that high unless they are freaks of nature. And Reed Sheppard's a good athlete, but he is not a freak of nature caliber athlete, but he fits in well to the Houston offense, which was not a particularly good 3-point shooting team last season. He is the best 3-point shooter in this draft. Stephon Castle, the guard/wing. I think he's more of a guard than a wing. He wants to play point guard. We'll see if he can do that at the NBA level. He goes forward to the San Antonio Spurs, joining up with Wemby and some of the other players they have. They needed a point guard. We'll see if they try to make him a point guard. They kind of tried it last 2 years with Jeremy Sohan, who they drafted out of Baylor, who has point guard-esque skills, but is not a true point guard. And we'll see if Stephon Castle, who some people also said was the best overall player in this draft. Our guy John Fanta had Stephon Castle number 1 on his big board entering tonight. So we'll see how that pans out. The first real surprise of the draft was Ron Holland at 5. He comes from the G League Ignite. He was the number 2 overall high school prospect coming out of the country last year. Went to G League Ignite. He can't really shoot, but he is a super athletic athlete on the wing, 6'7", 200 pounds, bouncy. His strengths, he's a big, physical, versatile wing, can score. His weaknesses, he's not a shooter, poor decision maker, and his motor sometimes is left up to question. But this is a new regime in Detroit. They're looking to build a new culture, and Ron Holland certainly can fit what they are trying to do. Saloon, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his first name, goes number 6 to the Hornets. I don't know a whole lot about him. He's 6'9", he's lanky, he hustles on defense, another 3-and-D potential guy, the youngest guy in the draft, but I'd be lying to say I'm fully up to speed on what he brings to the table. The Portland Trailblazers get Donovan Clingan, the UConn center, at number 7, a dominant defensive force in the post, a guy who did not show much offensively at UConn, but projects as a better NBA player in terms of his offensive skill set than what Dan Hurley and company asked him to do. I know Portland firsthand was extremely high on Donovan Clingan, and they were thrilled, and I mean thrilled to see him fall to 7. So I think that's a great pick there for Portland, who is just continuing to compile assets as they build a competitive roster moving forward. With the Spurs' second pick in the first round, they took Rob Dillingham, who was then traded to Minnesota for a 2030 and a 2031 first-round pick. The fact that we are now trading 2030 and 2031 first-round picks makes me feel so damn old, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But that's the situation we're at. So Dillingham heads to Minnesota. He'll be a bench scoring threat for the Timberwolves next season, and San Antonio picks up some future first-round picks. The fact that San Antonio, guys, by the way, the fact that San Antonio was willing to trade a top 10 player in this draft for 2 picks in 2030 and 2031 tells you everything you need to know about this draft. This is a young team looking to acquire and assemble young talent to put around Victor Wembanyama, and they say, we don't like anyone at this point worth taking and keeping, so we're going to trade whoever we take to a team that wants this player for 2 picks in 6 and 7 years. If you had any questions about what teams think of this draft, there's your answer right there. Zach Edey, the 7'4" center, goes 9 to Memphis. We mentioned Memphis as a potential trade partner for the Cavs, specifically for Jared Allen today. They were in desperate need of a real center, and Zach Edey certainly fits the mold to play alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant next year on what should be a pretty competitive Memphis team with Ja back in the swing. The Jazz take Cody Williams at 10. I am not a huge Cody Williams fan. I thought he looked lost on the court at times. He just looked like he was attacking without a plan, but he came into Colorado with a ton of hype, a 5-star recruit, a highly touted prospect, so we'll see how the Jazz use him in their fold. They have a bunch of young guys, especially on the wing, after taking Kyshawn George and who's the other wing they took last year? Taylor Hendricks, out of UCF. So he falls into that mold. And the most recent pick, Matas Buzelis from G League Ignite went to Chicago. He was mocked anywhere as high as 5 and looked as low as about 12 or 13. So right in the range. A guy who projects as a scorer, 6'9", 200 pounds, athletic, can shoot a little bit. His ball handling and his ability to create for himself left a little bit desired. So that is where we're at now. The Thunder are on the clock. The Cavs are 8 picks away. And so far, guys, I'm going to start reading some of your comments, and we'll talk back and forth. But we did our tiers of slam dunk draft picks for the Cavs. And so far, my 2 guys who I thought were absolute slam dunk picks for Cleveland, Tristan da Silva and Daron Holmes, are both still on the board. Some of the other guys I had in tier 2, Dalton Knecht still on the board, Bub Carrington still on the board. I'm going to pull up that list just so I'm not forgetting everyone off the top of my head. Prospects. Dalton Knecht still on the board. Tyler Smith still on the board. Kel'el Ware still on the board. There's guys like Kye Filipowski and Kyshawn George still available. So of the 10 guys I listed for the Cavs as potential picks, and that's Nikola Topic going number 12 to Oklahoma City. So Topic officially off the board. That is a very Sam Presti-esque pick at number 12 for Oklahoma City. But back to the Cavs with 7 picks to go before they're on the clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of my top 10 prospects for Cleveland at number 20 are still on the board with 7 picks to go. So that means even if 7 go in a row here, there will be 2 of my top 10 picks and preferences for the Cavs would still be on the board. The only one off the board so far is Zach Edey, who I had as the 6th best option for the Cavs at number 20. So far the board is falling in a very favorable way for your Cleveland Cavaliers, which is awesome to see. Let's look at some comments, guys, as we go through here. Let me see real quick before, if I add the background, what is that going to do? If I do this and then I do that, do we like that? Yeah, it looks a little more official. Sure, we'll do that. Why not? Let's go through some comments here. Divergent said trading Allen and 20 to Portland for 7, 14, and 2 seconds. They made their pick. They are thrilled with Clingan, so that is not going to happen. Evan419 says Kye Filipowski, no matter what, He is on the list. He is in that category of players who certainly should be available for Cleveland. At number 20, I have my questions with his consistency. Duke was even better when he wasn't on the court defensively. So he's one of those guys I go either way. You could talk me into Kye Filipowski and you could talk me out of Kye Filipowski. I am not too high on him, but I also think there are worse options if it comes to it. Brian says Da Silva or Filipowski. Ron says, do you think the Cavs trade the pick? It all depends on who's available. I think there's a good chance I would say the Cavs, with the players still on the board, it is a bigger probability and more likely that they use 20 to draft a player as opposed to trading down. However, it would certainly not shock me to see the Cavs trade down or, frankly, even trade up. It wouldn't shock me. So we'll see. I addressed why I was a few minutes late earlier. Edey from K-Dub. Big old school center. He could certainly play. The Jazz got Cody Williams. Jay says the fact that Edey wasn't invited to the draft says the Grizz reached far for him. He actually was invited to the draft and decided to stay back at Purdue and hang out with his family and friends for tonight. So he was invited to the draft. He decided not to come. I actually respect the hell out of that move, for the record. It would be awesome to be invited to the draft. And I'm sure it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But if you're not super into the fashion and all the blitz and the glam and the bright lights like it doesn't appear Zach Edey is, then spend the night with your teammates. Those are the guys that helped you get to the point you're at, with your coaches, with your family, and be surrounded by the people who you love and trust the most. So I have no issue with Edey turning down that offer. Brett says, move up for Connect. Hey, I thought Dalton Connect would be off the board by 12. I only included him in my top prospects because I love Connect. I think he could step in tomorrow and score 10 to 15 points on an NBA roster. I think he's that complete of a scorer coming out of college. He has his flaws. He is not a perfect player by any means, but Dalton Connect is on my list. He was in my tier 2 of potential prospects, and frankly, he would have been tier 1. I just didn't think he would be even close to available for the Cavs at 20, but through 12 picks, he is still on the board. K-Dude says, if we don't draft someone 6'7" or over, I'm going to lose my you-know-what. Yikes. There's a chance they do draft a guard. I would not expect it. I think a wing is the right move for the Cavs, but it certainly is not completely unheard of for them to draft a guard here. Let's see. McSwollen says the T-Wolves trade was unreal. Great value for them to get a player early. Yeah. It's a good deal. They got better, and they gave up picks in the 2030 draft, 2031 draft. You have to hope, if you're the Timberwolves, that with Anthony Edwards' continued ascension, those picks are not lottery picks. Those are late 20s picks. And if you like Dillingham, that is a small price to pay for a player you like. You're getting a top 10 player in this class for 2 picks you hope are late in the draft in 7 and 8 years. It's Dallas says, I know I'm not the only one playing, that we get Tristan da Silva at 20. That is right on with my thinking. Mike Swinhart says, all I ask is no Bronny at 20. I'll be okay with whatever decision they go. If the Cavs draft Bronny at 20, I'm going to stop and let's just address this real quick. Bronny James may end up being a good NBA player. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does. There is nothing about Bronny James as a basketball player right now, and there is nothing from Bronny James's past via high school, AAU, and college that suggests he should be a top 20 pick in the NBA draft. Let's just call a spade a spade. He measured 6'1". He's an okay shooter. He's a pretty good on-ball defender. He can be a point guard, but he averaged 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists at USC this season, coming off the bench for the Trojans. I understand he was coming off cardiac arrest preseason, and that completely derailed any chance of him having a successful freshman year. But he was not the top 2 or 3 recruit in the country. He is not and does not have incredible measurables like his father does. He is a good athlete, but he is not an elite once-in-a-generation type athlete. He's not like Rob Dillingham, who is maybe the most skilled and talented player in this class, who's just a bit undersized. The only reason you would draft Bronny in the top 20 is if you had an assurance from LeBron James that if you draft Bronny, I will follow. And there is no way that Clutch, nor LeBron, nor the Cavs can feel confident that that is the scenario as of right now. If Bronny James is the pick at 20, I will lose my effing mind. Sacramento just selected Devin Carter 13th. Carter can play, by the way. He's one of those guys he reminds me of Josh Hart a little bit with a better jump shot, and he's going to be playing in the league for a long, long time. And it would not surprise me if you hear it here first. Devin Carter could lead all guards in the NBA in rebounding one year. It won't happen his rookie season, but in 3-4 years, Devin Carter could be a Russell Westbrook-esque rebounder from the guard position. Anthony Peoples says he'll take Bub. I'm not anti-Bub. He's not my first choice. Listen, not my first choice, but if Bub is the pick, then so be it. Woj says the Kings listened to many offers for 13, but we're focused on Providence's Devin Carter. Speaking of trades, I want to pull up and make sure I'm saying this name correctly. I want to give credit where credit is due. But Real Cavs fan Ben, who's part of the Real Cavs fan website, which if you don't check out, you should, tweeted earlier that it sounds, and I quote, this is from RCF Ben, sounds like the Cavs are fielding a lot of offers for Garland, but it also sounds like they haven't found one they like just yet. I'm going to confirm that report, by the way. I can tell you I've heard the exact same thing. So the Cavs are definitely listening and taking calls for Darius Garland, but they have yet to be, as Koby Altman says, wowed and blown away by an offer. So there has been no trade that has happened yet. Divergent, we've gone over the top 5 picks already, so I'm going to skip that one. Let's see. Bones Dogs, hope we get Daron Holmes from Dayton, would be a solid pick. I would be very much on board there with Daron Holmes. Yes, I do need to get a Guardians-Indians flag. I'll be honest, when I went to get these 3 a couple months ago, they did not have any in stock, and that was before the season started. I bet you if I go back, they will be in a plethora, and I'll replace one of the Cavs with a Guardians-Indians flag on the background. Let's see. What are the real odds we get to Silva? He was mocked anywhere between like 11 and 17, and then to the Cavs at 20. So this is the range where the Silva team comes into play. We have I have a spelling mistake in this graphic here, so I'm going to take this down. So we're going to go just solo shot here. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Spelling not my strong suit. What are the chances? We have 14, which now belongs to Washington as part of the Denny Advia trade earlier. We have Miami at 15, who could be potential fits. Let's see. We have Philadelphia, he could be in play for almost every team coming up except Orlando, and I don't think Toronto would be interested. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there are 4 teams ahead of the Cavs who would be interested in Tristan da Silva. So I would say there's a decent chance, but I don't think there's a 100% chance. So I would say decent, not 100% right now, as what we are looking at for da Silva. Jameson, what's up, Dogecoin? Da Silva and Holmes are my guys. Those are my 2 guys that I very much am on. The Cavs seem to like a few other guys. Richard asked about Furphy. I don't like Furphy as much as others, but the Cavs seem to love him. I spoke to a Cavs guy today. I'll read you the scouting report I got on Furphy from someone who worked him out. Thinks he could be a better rebounder than he got credit for. He needs to be on a team that can get him the ball. He's not a creator by himself. And he was inconsistent, but his shot looks the part. When they won, he shot 41% from the floor. When they lost, he shot 27%. In his last 5 games in the season, he only shot 26%. So a little inconsistent for my liking, but it is what it is. Best on my list, I keep mentioning Da Silva and Daron Holmes. Those are my 2 favorites, and they are still on the board right now. So I think there's a better than 40% chance that they are on the board at number 20. And if they do, you will see me do backflips. Well, I can't really do backflips. I break my back. But I will go be very excited. Let's put it that way. Be very excited if they do. Let's see. Shambo's kicks. Odds I draft Bronny, 1%. And I'll say 1% because we know Dan Gilbert is back involved in the equation. To what extent, we still don't know for sure. However, we do know that if it's up to Dan Gilbert, I feel like there is a chance that he could just go AWOL and take Bronny. The 14th pick is in. The Washington Wizards are taking Bub Carrington out of Pitt. He was a guy on my tier 2 list, a guy I thought the Cavs would be interested in. He was mocked to the Cavs a few different times throughout the process. He is now off the board, heading to the Washington Wizards at number 14, which means we have 5 guys left. We have 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 5 picks for the Cavs before they are on the clock. And we still have my number 1 player, Tristan da Silva, on the board. We have my number 2 player, Daron Holmes, on the board. We have my number 3 player, Dalton Connect, on the board. We have my number 4 player, Tyler Smith, on the board. We have my number 5 player, Khalil Ware, on the board. We have my number 8 player, Kyshawn George, and my number 9 player, Kye Filipowski, on the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my top 10 players are still available with 5 picks to go. And that is exciting. These comments are coming out quickly, so I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of them. So let me ask you guys a question here. In the chat, if it's between Holmes and da Silva, it is 9:32 p.m., so we will get to some other guys and we'll see how it unfolds. If you like Holmes more than da Silva, give me a 1. If you like da Silva more than Holmes, give me a 2. If you prefer someone else besides those 2, anyone else besides those 2 who is still on the board, give me a 3. 1 Holmes, 2 da Silva, 3 if you like somebody else, and you can tell me who else it is, and we will get to it in a little bit. Shout out to the Garage Beers podcast, by the way, for tuning in tonight. I went on their show a couple weeks ago. A very fun show to my Garage Beers friends. It is a sad time to be an Aggie. Schloss. We don't got to talk about it, but what a slimy snake. Let's just leave it at that. If you know, you know. If you don't, just Google Jim Schlossnagel. What a snake. All right, seen a lot of 2s for da Silva, a couple 1s, a couple 3s here. And we got 500 people in here right now. I appreciate all 500 of you for tuning in. I'm hoping this gets to over 1,000 by the time we get to the Cavs being on the clock. If you guys excuse me for 1 sec, I'm just going to retweet this from the UCSS account so we get some more people in here to hang out and talk a little Cavs as we get closer and closer to their pick coming up here in what I hope, for my voice's sake, is within the next hour. I hope, but we will see here shortly. I'm tweeting this out. Give me 1 sec. What should I tweet? How should I word this? We're live, and all the cool kids you wish you could be friends with are hanging out. Come join us. Does that work? Does that work? Yeah, it works. All right. Come join us. All right, there we go. Tweet is up. Bub Carrington, who is at the NBA green screen room. Great hair, by the way, is okay. Can I just take a sec? We'll call a timeout. Timeout. 30 seconds. Thank you. Why ESPN shows Portland Trailblazers fans celebrating the Bub Carrington pick when they have already announced that Bub Carrington has been traded to the Washington Wizards, or at least that pick was traded to the Washington Wizards. Why show Blazers fans on the broadcast? And also, it is so stupid that on the TV broadcast, Woj is tweeting out picks 3 minutes before they happen, which I'm fine with, but then is talking on TV as if he hasn't already tweeted who's coming out. There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to do these NBA draft broadcasts where you either play towards the TV audience or you just admit you know what's going on via social media and play it up and take out what happened. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. So, and yeah, it's the same thing with Rob Dillingham earlier, asking about going to San Antonio. He's not going to San Antonio, and you know that because Woj had tweeted it, and Woj is on your damn broadcast. Ask about Ask about Minnesota playing with Anthony Edwards. There has to be a better way. And I'm not watching the stadium broadcast. I have the ESPN broadcast on over here, so I'm not 100% positive what the reason is and if they're doing it differently. But it's sad. It just, there has to be a better way. And I see Bone Dog says Woj wants to break it first. I get it, but you're on TV, Woj. Just say it on TV. Like, you can't play to social media and then to a TV audience. Just pick and choose one line or one lane and stick to it. No one's going to be upset. It's just, it makes no sense. Adam Baker says the pick we get better than Amani. I am fascinated, and I will do some digging. I will get an answer for you guys this weekend. If Amani Bates was in this draft class, where he would rank. I'll ask the couple guys I know in the league who have a say in what they do and how they finagle these draft boards. I will ask them where Amani Bates would rank. My guess is he goes higher than 49, but he's not a first-round pick. That would be my honest evaluation. There were some serious question marks about Amani Bates entering the draft last season. And if the Cavs didn't take him at 49, the reality is he probably would have gone undrafted. That's just the reality. He has the talent. There were other questions with Amani Bates that I think he did a pretty good job trying to answer in his first season in the league. But yeah, I think he would go in the early second round would be my guess. But that's a guess. I will do some research. I will get you an answer. I will have a much better answer than me just spitballing right here live about where he would fall. So I don't know for sure. I would guess 30s, not 40s. But if someone tells me he would have been undrafted, and if someone tells me he would have been a top 15 pick, I don't think I would have been shocked either way. I can tell you this. There is no, and I said this on the show a bunch of times, there's no consensus whatsoever. No consensus at all on the big boards, but from team to team. I talked to one team that had Clingan number 1 overall on their draft board. I talked to another team that had Clingan number 6. And then the 5 guys between where Clingan was on both their boards, they only had one that matched spot to player. There was no consensus whatsoever. So just because one team, if I ask about Amani Bates, may have Bates as a 23rd player, another team could have him at 57, and I'd be like, that checks out. That makes sense. So, Adam, I will get an answer for you. I don't have a good answer, and I don't know the right way to answer that, to be totally honest. So I apologize for not having a better answer, but that is where I get. The Miami Heat are on the board at 15 right now. If they've announced 15 and someone's seen it, let me know in the chat. I would appreciate that, but I have yet to see. Who they have taken at 15. Miami's on the board. They are always a tough team to pin down on the draft because they kind of don't listen to any consensus. They go off what they feel fits their system in a way to maximize what they have. And the pick is in, and another one of my targets for the Cavs, Kel'el Ware out of Indiana, is headed to the Miami Heat. Now, I'll tell you, I talked to more people about Ware than I talked to about anyone else. This guy, and I'm serious when I say this, everyone I spoke to said almost the exact same thing. This guy has the talent to be the number 1 overall pick in this class. But we don't know what we're getting on a day-to-day mental basis. Is he going to be fully locked in, and can we commit what it takes to be a number 1 pick to a guy like Ware coming out of Indiana, who there's just question marks. I don't exactly know what said question marks are. I didn't do any of the interviews. I'm just telling you what I was told. And everyone I spoke to, and this is 3 Eastern Conference teams and 2 Western Conference teams, all said the exact same thing about Ware, which was uber talented. Can you get him to buy in? At 15, I like the upside for the Heat. Listen, Miami's taking some guys like that. Tyler Hero was a guy that had some question marks. He was a late lottery pick. Turned out to be an absolute steal. Bam Adebayo, a late lottery pick. A steal. And now the Cavs, with 16, 17, 18, and 19 to go, are in a position to take some of these top guys left. This is my list. This is my list of players still available who I liked. Of the 10 guys that I had circled for the Cavs at 20, in order, these are the ones still available. Tristan da Silva, the number one guy still available in my opinion. Number 2, Daron Holmes out of Dayton, the number 2 guy available. Number 3, Dalton Knecht out of Tennessee, who I put in there because I love his game so much, but I was like, there's no way he's really going to be there at 20, but maybe. So he's in. Dalton Knecht, still there. Tyler Smith, number 4, still there. The top 4 guys, and if you don't believe me, there's the list. Can you see that? Is that going to focus? Da Silva, Holmes, Knecht, Smith. Kel'el Ware was 5th on my list. Bub Carrington was 6. Zach Edey was 7. Those guys are all gone. So we still have the top 4, Da Silva, Holmes, Knecht, and Smith. And then we lose 5, 6, 7. And then 8, 9 is Kyshawn George and Kye Filipowski, with Cody Williams being 10. So the Cavs are in a great position with 16, 17, 18, and 19 to go. The top 4 guys on my board for the Cavs are still available. The top 4 are still available with 4 picks to go. That is an incredible draft unfolding, for lack of a better word, an incredible play out for the Cavs as they get ready to make the pick here. And we are sitting with the Philadelphia 76ers at 16. It is funny that the teams ahead of the Cavs in the draft right now, Philadelphia at 16, the Lakers at 17, the Magic at 18, and the Raptors at 19. The Raptors don't count for this discussion. They don't count for this discussion. Those 3 teams ahead of Cleveland and Cleveland included in this category. So those 4 teams, Philly, LA, Orlando, and Cleveland, are kind of the biggest teams to watch this offseason in terms of making some priority and some blockbuster moves. The Philadelphia 76ers, and we all know what Daryl Morey does. He hunts stars. He is on a warpath to get Paul George or another legitimate star to Philadelphia. They have more cap space than any team in the league right now and can throw a boatload of money at essentially any free agent they want. You have the Lakers, who have been rumored to want Donovan Mitchell, which is not going to happen. They've been rumored to every star. Hell, Paul George is even rumored to them. Paul George also rumored to the Orlando Magic. So the next 3 picks in the draft are essentially the Orlando Magic sweepstakes and the Golden State Warriors, who draft a little later. In terms of fits for these guys, and could the guys I want the Cavs to take, could the guys that the Cavs could take, could they be taken by teams ahead? Let's see. The Sixers, they could go any direction. They could go any direction whatsoever. Would not shock me if they take Da Silva. Knecht wouldn't shock me if they want to go with a backup big because they're not going to re-sign Paul Reed. Then Daron Holmes could be a fit there. They scare me. The Lakers, they need everybody. I think Da Silva fits really well into what the Lakers do. I would be a little scared about Da Silva being the Lakers pick at 17. Knecht, if he's there at 18 for the Magic, I feel like they would take him in a heartbeat. I have no idea what Toronto wants to do. They can go in any direction. You can pick and choose. I think there's a million different possibilities. But teams need shooting. Knecht is still available. He fits Orlando really well. Da Silva fits the Lakers really well. And I think the big, and that kind of worries me, but I do think Daron Holmes is a good fit for the 76ers if they want to do it. Tunnel, I mentioned this before. When I went to pick up these pennants before the Guardian season started, the store I went to did not have any Cleveland Guardians pennants. Now, once again, that was before the season started. I have to go back. I have not gone back yet, and I will pick up a Guardians pennant, and I'll replace this Cavaliers one on the bottom here with a pennant. So with a Guardians pennant, excuse me. But it didn't have it when I went, so I can't get one if they don't have one in the store. I'm knocking on wood. Listen, I am. I don't know if you see, knocking on wood. There we go. I'm knocking on wood. We are hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that Da Silva, Knecht, or Daron Holmes are there. Those 3, we are doing backflips. We are partying. We're popping champagne. If that's the pick, we have to do it. Let's see. Sprout says, doesn't Reeves already offer what Da Silva does? Da Silva is 6'9". He is a true wing. Reeves is more of a guard. The one thing I love about Da Silva, and I've said this before, is he is a connector. I feel like you could put him into any offensive system and he can flourish. And that is part of the reason why I think he'd be a ready-made fit for the Cavs. A couple stats on da Silva that I think are really interesting. He scored, or let me rephrase that. He shot 40% from three. He has all the makings, the jump shot, the height, the smarts to be a pretty good corner three-point shooter in the NBA. He's a mover and a super high-Q basketball player. He's active off ball. He might be the best cutter in the entire draft, which fits right into Kenny Atkinson's system. Listen to this stat. 66% of his points in college were assisted on, which means he's not a guy that needs the ball, ISO, let me go one-on-one. He's a guy that's moving, getting the ball, scoring, getting and shooting, and he fits in. So, yes, there's a little overlapping skill set sprout, but Austin Reeves is 6'4", 6'5". Da Silva is 6'9", a much better rebounder than Reeves. I don't think that'd be an issue whatsoever. My favorite Cavs jersey of all time, cool man, is the old school blue and black 90s jerseys, which always look awesome. The throwback Big Z jersey, I think, is my favorite one of them all. I've seen a Sean Kemp one in the black and blue that looks sick. So that's my favorite Cavs jersey of all time. Let's see what else we got. It's getting close. I'm getting a little nervous, guys, because there's a lot of good players on the board. I did not think Connect would be here whatsoever. Holmes and da Silva, I thought had a pretty good shot to be available at 20. Connect, I did not think whatsoever. And then with Khalil Ware going off the board, you still have Tyler Smith. Let me take a drink of water. I'll tell you a little about Tyler Smith because I think he's one of the more intriguing prospects that could be on the board here. Excuse me for that. Hey, Jared McCain's on the board too. I didn't talk about Jared McCain at all. That dude plays with a confidence that is unmatched, and he would not be my first choice. I am not saying that is where I would go, but he's a guy that I thought could have been taken in the top 10, and he's still here at 16, excuse me. So a little bit of a slide for him. Tyler Smith, another guy I like, and I want to bring him up for a particular reason. If you believe that Tyler Smith can turn into a reliable three-point shooter, he is a steal at number 20. If you don't believe that Tyler Smith, Jared McCain to Philadelphia. Okay, guys, that is huge because that means of my top 4 prospects for the Cavs, da Silva, Holmes, Connect, Smith, one is now guaranteed to be on the board at number 20 for Cleveland. I am loving how the draft is unfolding for the Cavs. One of my top 4 guys is guaranteed to be on the board, including, well, hell, any of them. We'll see. Connect, if he's there, you have to take Connect. You have to. But da Silva and Holmes, God, it's a good choice to have. Back to Tyler Smith real quick. They are varied reports, by the way, on if he can shoot, if he can't. I'm talking about Tyler Smith. Some people like his jump shot. Some people don't. Every time I watch Tyler Smith, I would leave with a different feeling than when I went into it. Some days I'd be like, this dude has all the potential. I kind of like what his jump shot is coming along with. And then next time I watch him, I'm like, that's broke. And if his jump shot's broke, he is a 6'9" athletic center. He's a 6'9" Damian Jones. It's like hit or miss. This dude could be awesome or this dude could be an absolute bum. And I at 20, I think you could take a risk on the upside, but it is certainly not a home run guaranteed lock that he's going to be a player. It reminds me in a way, in a very different position, a very different player than Emoni Bates, but a guy who you are betting completely on upside for. And the downside, if it doesn't pan out, is a guy that's never going to crack your rotation. So we'll see. Chad says, how do you feel about Cam Johnson if he's available? Listen, Cam Johnson would be terrific in a Cavaliers uniform. What I'm worried about is if the Nets make Cam Johnson available, what are they going to offer that can't be trumped by about 20 other teams in the league that would love to have Cam Johnson? Would the Nets really be excited about number 20 pick in this draft, whoever the Cavs take in a few minutes? Karis LeVert and George Niang? Like, those salaries add up to be $25 million. Are they going to be excited about that? I don't think so. I just don't. And I look at teams like Oklahoma City or there could be any team. They have more to offer than LeVert, Niang, and a mid-first round pick. I just don't think that's enough to get Cam Johnson. I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope I'm totally wrong, but I just feel like if Oklahoma City wants him, they could offer 2 or 3 first-round picks, and the Nets, who are a terrible team trying to tank, trying to assemble assets, not players, would much prefer a package in that range than Niang, LeVert, and a pick. So I love Cam Johnson if you could get him. I don't think the Cavs have what it takes to get him. So we will see. We will see. All right. My heart's starting to beat a little bit, man. My heart's starting to beat a little bit. Like, we are just a few picks away from the Cavs. We got over 700 people chilling here. It is a beautiful Wednesday night. It is 9:51. We've been going for 41 minutes. I haven't stumbled over my words that much. It's awesome. Like, what a night. What a night, guys. Bronny James. And listen, if the Cavs take Bronny at 20, if the Cavs take, put in the chat, if the Cavs take Bronny at 20, what would you do? Like, would you be happy? Would you be upset? Would you be thrilled? Would you do backflips? Would you jump off the side of a building? If the Cavs take it 20, let me know what you do. I'll read a couple of those comments as we get ready to hear the Lakers pick, the Magic pick, and then the Toronto Raptors pick. Scott in Florida says, oh, these are coming in fast. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to try to get through here. I'm going to read these all, as many as I can. Daniel says, I'd spit my drink out. This is if they took Bronny James at 20. Scott Florida says, shocked. Kaven Breaker says, pass away. K-Dude says, not watch the team anymore. Julian Levy says, happy. Divergent says, throw up. Plasma Void says, Bron and Butler, please. AMX says, happy. Chris the Goat says, give me Bron. I don't even care. BS Speed says, mad. They take Bronny from KW, said, I'll lose my shit. Chris says, the story would be gun. James says, LeBron confirmed. Furious. Zach says, furious. Unanimous decision. Says, I'm not a Cavs fan anymore if they take Bronny. Parajute, I'm more focused on this pod than my research paper. Damn right. Damn right. We're killing it tonight. This is fun. I love you guys. I love when we do this. Just talking a little hoops with my boys. All 769 of you guys right now. Kings truly says, salty for real. Scorpion Lee with 3 mad emojis. Chad says, upset. Need someone to help right now. Shuttlesworth says, log off. It's Dallas says, I banged my head through a wall. Jose says, mad. The Lakers are on the clock. If the Lakers are taking them, I think it'll be in the second. I just can't justify in any way taking Bronny with a top 20 pick or a first-round pick, honestly. I hope he turns out to be a good player. Like, I really hope for Bronny's sake, he turns into a competent NBA player. So all this stuff pre-draft, which he didn't ask for, by the way, like we in media, including UCSS, mostly ESPN and the bigger outlets, but even us, like we profited off clicks from Bronny. Like he was the most talked about, most interesting guy in this draft. There's no doubt about it. However, he didn't ask to be put in that position. So, I have no ill will against him, but it would stink. Couple more. We'll get to. Wayne says, I wouldn't be mad at all. His name is LeBron James Jr. I'm with it. Pomadier Gill says, realize the Cavs aren't serious about winning. Garage Beer said, I know this isn't out of character, but if the Cavs take Bronny at 20, I'm sculling my beer. If you send that video in, I'll get it on the show. Mike. Happy says Thomas, LeBron's coming home. Some of these are funny. I'm not going to read some of these, but some of these are objectively funny. It's Dallas says, Mikey, I'm calling my shot. Dalton Connect, 17 to the Lakers. Jacoby Walter, 18 to Orlando, 19 Collier. Isaiah Collier, Bronny James' teammate to the Lakers took Dalton Connect. Damn it. Dalton Connect off the board officially. It's Dallas called it to a T, but Dalton Connect is headed to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's a great pick for the Lakers. I don't think they expected Dalton Connect to be on the board at 17. He's a plug-and-play guy. He's the guy that you can put in a lineup with LeBron James, with Anthony Davis, with Austin Reeves tomorrow, and he could be an effective player. He reminds me a lot of Jaime Jaquez for the Heat last season, where a guy who was a prolific college player, older, and just knows how to play hoops, just knows how to ball, and can kind of slide and fit in anywhere you need and connect. And with JJ Redick coaching now, JJ Redick is going to be able to utilize him and run some plays that JJ liked for Dalton Connect. It's a great pick by the Lakers. Objectively speaking, it's a great pick by the Lakers. Connect, a really good fit with LeBron, with Davis, with Reeves. Yeah, I mean, that's a good pick. Disappointing for the Cavs. However, I did not expect Dalton Connect to be there at 20 from the get-go. So I'll be honest, I am not too upset. I didn't expect him to be there, so I got excited because he was still on the board, but I never truly expected him to be there at 20, so I'm not too down in the dumps. That means we have two more picks, Orlando at 18, Toronto at 19, before the Cavs at 20. We have three of my top four players in this class for the Cavs at 20 still on the board. My number one guy, Tristan da Silva out of Colorado. My number two guy, Daron Holmes out of Dayton. And my number four player, Tyler Smith out of the G League Unite. Terrence Shannon Jr. is a guy I've seen get brought up a bunch of times. Hey, he can play. I'm just not taking him at 20. I think there are better options at 20 than Terrence Shannon. However, if you want to go up and get a second-round pick early in the second round, I would be all in favor of getting Terrence Shannon, as a guy to come off the bench and be a high-volume second-unit scorer. So I'm for it, but not with their first pick. There are better players on the board, in my opinion, than Terrence Shannon. I don't know why I have such trouble saying that name. Than Terrence Shannon Jr. So we'll see. He could be a player. I think he's a little too one-dimensional and a little too ball-dominant when you look at some of the other guys on the board. So not my first choice, but certainly not a bum when you look at, can he play? Yeah, he can play. You can play. Let's see. It's 9:58. Cavs are 2 picks away. Orlando is on the clock. Listen, if Connect was still there, he would have been a perfect fit for Orlando. They need shooting desperately. Is Furphy a pick for Orlando potentially? Johnny Furphy out of Kansas. Do they go with the shooting big Kye Filipowski? They don't need another big, so I don't think Daron Holmes would be in play for them. Da Silva, they have a bunch of long, lanky wings already. I don't think Da Silva's really in play for them. I have no idea where they're going to go with this pick. Jalen Tyson out of Cal, maybe? Furphy out of Kansas makes a bunch of sense. I think if I had to guess, Furphy would be my selection for them. But who knows? Oh, my God, they took Da Silva. No. Shams, Orlando is selecting Tristan da Silva at 18 in the draft, sources say. Oh, no. You don't need Da Silva. You have Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter Jr. and Franz Wagner. How many more 6'8 guys do you need? Let the Cavs have at least one 6'8 wing for the love of God. Please, why? The Cavs beat your ass in the playoffs, and this is how you get revenge? By taking a guy that doesn't even fit your roster just to spite Cleveland? Not happy. I'm not happy. Yeah, they have the other Wagner too, both Wagners. They have I'm pulling up their roster real quick. They have legitimately Orlando Magic roster ESPN. They have 7 guys that are 6'8", 6'9", and above on the wing already. Banchero, 6'10" wing. They drafted Anthony Black last year. He's a guard, but he's 6'7". Caleb Houston, their other lottery pick last year, 6'8". You have Joe Ingles, 6'9". Jonathan Isaac, 6'10". You have Chuma Okike, who doesn't really play a ton. He's 6'7". Franz Wagner, 6'10". Mo Wagner, 6'11". You don't need another 6'9" wing. You don't need a 6'9" true wing. Listen, Holmes is a big man. He's not a wing. Holmes is a big man. I would be fine with Daron Holmes. We'll see if he gets past Toronto at 19. I would be very okay, very, very, very okay with the Cavs taking Holmes. But at some point, we talk about the Cavs having so much overlap on their roster. Talk about Orlando. They have an incredible amount of overlap now, and I just didn't think da Silva would really be someone they valued as highly as I guess they did. So, yeah, I saw this is a good one. My guy from Garage Beer said that the world's tallest bricklayer union is essentially what it is. I am disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed. That was my guy from the get-go that I wanted. And 2 picks before the Cleveland Cavaliers were on the clock, he goes. Let me just say one more thing on why I like da Silva, then we'll move on. Because you know what? We can't change the past. It is what it is. We'll focus on who the Cavs can take at 20 after Toronto picks at 19. But the reason I like da Silva was outside of the fact he is a 6'9" wing, who's a legitimate wing. He fits into every offensive scheme available across the NBA. Like I said, I call him a connector. I think you could plug and place him into any offensive scheme. If you want him to be a standstill shooter in the corner, so be it. If you need him to facilitate some offense, so be it. If you need him to defend bigger wings and rebound because he's 6'9", so be it. If he has to play a little point guard, I think he can do that. So be it. I don't think he'll ever be a star, but I think he's a legit connector. And I read that stat to you before. I'm going to read it again. 66% of his points scored in college were assisted on. That is an incredible stat. He's the best cutter in this class. And Kenny Atkinson's offense is predicated heavily on cutting and motion. He fit right into that. So that's why I wanted da Silva. But guess what? Da Silva is now dead to me. Tristan, the love affair we had in the pre-draft process is over. I'm breaking up with you. You did not break up with me. I dumped you first, and now I'm on the Daron Holmes train. So let's see who Toronto takes at 19, and then we'll see who the Cavs take at number 20. The top 2 prospects left on my board, Daron Holmes was my second favorite pick for the Cavs, and Tyler Smith was my 4th favorite pick. They are both still available, and we will see who's available coming up in just a second. Toronto is on the clock. They have about 3 minutes left to make a pick, and I need to have a glass of water. I'm starting to feel Steve Becker, we're going to need an extra sub tomorrow for the show. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to talk after doing this stream for an hour and change solo dolo here. But we hit 900 people in here right now, so shout out to the 900 people who are going crazy. Bull's tweeting at me and texting me. Here, Bull, get in the live stream now. The people, I'm tweeting at Bull. We'll see if we get Bull in here after Holmes. Just lost my mind on the live stream. Okay, we're back. We're back. All right, so the difference between Daron Holmes and Tyler Smith. Holmes is a much more developed prospect, much more ready to play on day one than a Tyler Smith is. I trust Daron Holmes' development as a stretch big shooter more than I trust Tyler Smith's ability. We're going to get Bull on, by the way, after they pick. So we're gonna pick. We are then going to invite Bull on if he wants to hop in for a sec. But I want to get some live, immediate reaction to the pick, uninterrupted, and then we'll get Bull on to get his reaction and his pick as well. So the difference between Holmes and Smith is younger with probably a higher ceiling, with more ability to turn into a legit game changer if he can develop as a shooter. I don't think Holmes has legit game changer ability, but as your third big coming off the bench behind Allen and Evan Mobley, he has all the intangibles you want to be an effective big. And then if you decide for whatever reason, if the right package comes along to trade Jared Allen or whatnot, then you have another guy you could slide in who could play center like he did in college. He's a defensive menace, an absolute dog on defense, and be your traditional rim protector alongside Evan Mobley and potentially your stretch 5. Or he's just a guy you can play alongside and come off the bench. He's just a good player to have and an absolute guy who I think will be a solid NBA player. Yes. Hold on one sec. Hoping for Holmes. Yeah. So I like him. And Orlando, just of all the teams, I just wasn't hoping Orlando. I have no idea, by the way. Absolutely no idea what Toronto wants to do with this pick. When they traded OG Anunoby a few months ago, they didn't want picks back. Toronto is selecting Jacoby Walter at number 19. That means the Cavs are on the clock with Daron Holmes available. Jacoby Walter to Toronto at 19. That means Daron Holmes is available for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The other top prospects still available now as the Cavs are on the clock. In order for me, these are the best ones available left. 1, Daron Holmes. 2, Tyler Smith. 3, Kyshawn George. 4, Kye Filipowski. 5, Jaylen Tyson. 6, Ryan Dunn. 7, Johnny Furphy. 8, Kevin McCullers. And then 9, Bobby Klintman. And if they take Klintman, I would be absolutely stunned because I think 20 is way too high for Klintman. I'll repeat that one more time as the Cavs are now on the clock officially with the 20th pick. In order, Daron Holmes, Tyler Smith, Kyshawn George, Kye Filipowski, Jaylen Tyson, Ryan Dunn, Kevin McCullar, Johnny Furphy, Kevin McCullers Jr., and then Bobby Klintman. Okay, we're at 20. The last few picks were the guys that I all liked for the Cavs. Kye Filipowski's on that list too. If I missed Filipowski, he's my fourth option left. Bronny James is not on the list. Let's be honest. Bronny James not on the list. We also surpassed 1,000 views for this live pick. Make sure y'all hit the like button. We appreciate y'all for tuning in right now for the for this Cavs live reaction to whoever they're gonna take. So some people are high on Filipowski, some people are not in the comments. It is back and forth on what you think of Kye Filipowski. The one thing about Filipowski, and I mentioned this earlier, I'm not sure how consistent he is as a shooter. Some days he looks good. The form looks better, but it just wasn't consistent, especially in wins versus losses. In wins in his career, he shot 39% from 3 on 2.6 attempts per game and 27% in losses on nearly 5 attempts per game. And Duke's defense was 7 points worse per 100 possessions when he was on the court. So I don't love him as a prospect with Daron Holmes on the board. I like Holmes. That's who I'm going with right now. That is who I am planting my flag on. If it's not going to be da Silva, Holmes is the guy. If it's not Connect, Holmes is the guy. I do think this is a Koby Altman pick, and if it's anyone but Bronny James, I believe this is a Koby Altman pick. If it's a Bronny James selection, we know who's calling the shots. It would be Dan Gilbert and not Koby Altman. Furphy, I'm not totally against. He was mocked to the Cavs a bunch. Chris Fedor had continually pushed for Johnny Furphy in all his latest articles. Not push, that's not the right word, but he continually brought up Johnny Furphy in his most recent articles leading up to the draft, which makes me believe, because Chris is plugged in, that he is hearing from people connected high up in the Cavs organization that there is a good chance that Johnny Furphy is high on their board. I'm not as high on Furphy as some other guys are, but he certainly can play. A 6'9" shooter who can come off screens, is a valuable asset to the Cavaliers, but I just don't necessarily think he's ready yet to contribute. And if I'm drafting a guy here at 20, I want a guy who's ready to contribute. And that's why I like Daron Holmes more than Tyler Smith. Even though they play similar positions and Smith has a higher ceiling, I prefer Daron Holmes. Filipowski's another guy. He could play alongside Allen, or he can replace Allen or Mobley in a lineup. He could play alongside both of them. He adds a stretch ability to the bigs. I think he's a little stiff. I'm not a huge fan. If they want to go super safe, like super safe, I guess they can go with Kevin McCullers Jr., who was the best player in college basketball for the first month and a half of the season before he got injured, but he's coming off a serious knee injury. He won't even be ready for the summer league. He hasn't worked out for teams as he recovers, so he's a giant question mark. Guys, I'm planting my flag on Holmes. Put in the comments right now before we get this pick in, who your ideal pick right now, knowing who is on the board and who is not for the Cavs here at number 20. I've told you my guy. It's Daron Holmes. I'm very curious to see who you guys think is the right pick. as the Cavs continue to inch closer and closer, second by second, to making a selection. I have notifications for Woj and Shamzan. So as soon as it comes in, I will update you guys and we will break it down as well as I can. Let's see what this tweet is. Evan Sittery, an NBA aggregator on Twitter, says that the Nets are still trying to obtain another first-round pick. The Cavaliers have expressed interest in both Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith. Could be interesting. One first-rounder is not getting you Cam Johnson. It may be able to get you Dorian Finney-Smith, but I'm not sure that is a massive upgrade or a big enough upgrade for the Cavs to compete with the upgrades the Knicks have made over the last few days on the wing position. But we have more time for trades and free agents and all that later. Right now, we are focused on the draft and the Cavs at number 20, who are currently on. Tweet came in. Who's it from? No, it's Bull. Bull says Jaylen Tyson. Is it official? Jaylen Tyson. Chris Fedor. The Cavs are selecting Jaylen Tyson with the 20th pick in the draft. Jaylen Tyson, who I had on my board but was not nearly as high on. Tyson comes from the University of Cal. He is a 6'6" junior guard who averaged 20 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 3.5 assists last season. As a junior, he shot 46.5% from the floor, 36% from three, was Cal's best player, and frankly, their really only reliable offensive option. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm kind of torn. He's a 6'6" guard who can shoot. He has the upside to play the three, but he's a bit undersized. I'm kind of meh on it. I'm not gonna lie. Let me start with this. I'll be totally honest. I did a lot of research on a ton of players. I did not do a ton of research on Jaylen Tyson. I did not. I'm sorry. I didn't think he was really a play at 20 for them. I did not. I'm sorry. I'll do more for tomorrow, but I did not do a ton of research on Tyson. I do know, looking at the basic stats, he's a guy who's ready to play. He's not a guy that's going to sit and needs 3 or 4 years to develop. In a way, he kind of reminds me, and I'm going to steal this from John Fanta, who just sent me this. He reminds me of Ochai Agbaji in the sense that you're getting a ready-made player to come in and contribute ASAP. But was he the best ready-made player available to come in ASAP? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If the Cavs were going to go with a wing or with a 6'6" combo guard, whatever position you want to call him, I would have gone with Kyshawn George ahead of him. I would have gone with Johnny Furphy ahead of him. I had Jaylen Tyson as my 11th best option for the Cavs at number 20. In terms of guys who were available on the board, I had Holmes rated higher. I had Smith rated higher. I had George rated higher. I had Filipowski rated higher. Tyson was my 5th best option for the Cavs with the 20th pick. I don't really know what his defensive upside is. Offensively, like I said, he shot 36% from three on pretty high volume last year. So from that standpoint, you're getting a guy who comes in. He shot 4.5 threes per game last year, which for in college is a relatively high number. He got to the line 5 times, an 80% free throw shooter. He averaged 3.5 assists to 3 turnovers. As a freshman at Texas, he averaged 1.8 points per game. In his second season at Texas Tech, he averaged 10.7. In his third season at Cal, he averaged 19.6. So he's gotten better every year with more opportunities. But I'm going to have to digest this one a little bit. I don't have a immediate reaction to Jaylen Tyson. I don't. This is the same thing. I spent 5 hours going through Borrego footage for them to hire Kenny Atkinson. I spent a ton of time looking at different prospects I think they would have taken at 20. I did not spend a ton of time on Jaylen Tyson. I'm going to be totally honest. Totally honest. I don't love the fact he was at 3 schools in 3 years. I'm going to see if John Fanta wants to come on. If I could get John Fanta, would you guys want to hear from John Fanta? Okay, never mind. He's on the NBA app stream texting me. Both on streams texting each other. Yeah, he doesn't love the pick either. I'm just kind of, so, okay, I just got a text from Tyson about Tyson. The good for Tyson. This is the good. This is the positive. He's a ready-made guy who can step in from day one and will probably look better than most rookie shooters who can fit into an offense. He's been under 3 coaching staffs in 3 seasons. He started at Texas, transferred to Texas Tech, then transferred to Cal. 3 teams in 3 years. Is that a personality issue? Is that he just wanted to find a better playing style? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But he's a ready-made player to step in and help contribute on an NBA level. And I feel like the Cavs, based on some rumors I heard earlier in terms of trade proposals, they want players who can step in and help contribute immediately. So from that perspective, it fits what the Cavs were looking for. On the other side, I don't know a ton about him. I think there were guys who were higher and on the board that made more sense for the Cavs, including wings, by the way. Including wings. I'm looking at ESPN's best available list right now. Furphy, Kyshawn George, Filipowski. Guys who at least were tied to the Cavs. If you really wanted to, you could talk yourself into Terrence Shannon or Ryan Dunn. I'm not quite sure where Jaylen Tyson was on this list prior to the selection. I'm kind of baffled. And I don't mean that in a bit. I don't know enough to feel good or bad about it. I kind of just feel, They're talking about him on ESPN right now, so I'm going to turn up ESPN and listen to see what they say about the pick. Talking about his 3 different schools. They're showing his scoring jump right now. Richard Jefferson's talking about the Cavs' need for wings and how Jaylen Tyson can just step in and play from day one. Kenny Atkinson signed a 5-year deal officially from Woj, so Atkinson under contract for 5 years. And essentially their quick 30-second analysis was they need wing help, and he's a wing. And he's a wing that can shoot. And granted, we came into this draft saying the Cavs need a wing who can shoot. Jaylen Tyson fits that mold. Was he the best wing that can shoot available at pick 20 the way the draft unfolded? I did not think so. But I also did not do a ton of scouting on him. I'll be totally honest. I did not do a ton of scouting on him. I always try to be transparent with you guys. I will do a deeper dive and a deeper study on Jaylen Tyson tonight and tomorrow morning to try and be a little more comfortable telling you what he can and can't do tomorrow on the show. But as of right now, I wish I had more for you guys. I kind of just feel numb to the pick. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm very neutral on it. And I'm a little disappointed because I thought there were other guys who made a lot more sense who were available. And he was the 5th best guy available to me. And after the top 3, I didn't do a ton of research on the rest. He was the 13th guy on my board. So I'm sorry. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. Jay Billis says he's a 3-level scorer, strong body with point guard skills. Lynn Bowman says the new coach is a West Coast guy. At least he was the last couple of years. when he was coaching with the Warriors. Maybe he saw Jalen Tyson in person a bunch because Berkeley's right by Golden State. Let's see. Step in where? Listen, they need wing help. But they need wing help, whether it's Max Strus minutes, whether it's being a 2-guard alongside Donovan or Darius. Probably more Darius, him and LeVert. If you want to go super small, you can never have enough playmaking shooters. And at least on paper, he looks like he is a playmaking scoring guard with size. He is listed on ESPN at 6'6", 215. So he's not a undersized guard, but I think he's more of just a guy than a guy who's a real game changer. Bruiser says he's a good 3-point shooting wing. He shot pretty good. Let's see. Oli Grant says, stop talking up 6'6" guys as wings. You're either a guard or a wing. I mean, at this point, Giannis is in a way like a wing. Like, they're all kind of, if you're not a point guard, you're a wing. Like, Donovan's not a wing, but they're all wings. 6'6" guys are wings all the time. You look around the league. There are a million 6'6" wings. I mean, height, you can call him what he wants. If he plays more like a guard, sure, but he's a wing. He's not playing on the ball for the Cavs, which makes you a wing. Let's see. T. Dweeder says drafting a fart would have been better. Let's see. Yep, a 5-year deal for Atkinson. The initial reaction from online is not great. Nick Mormon, though, says Da Silva and Holmes were the only ones I'd rather have over Tyson. Nick, if you tell me why that is, I'll read the comment. Maybe you're more familiar with Tyson than I am, so let me know what you think about it. First Cal player drafted since Jaylen Brown. Yeah, I don't love the pick. I don't love it. What is? I don't love it. All right, he's listed at 6'6", 220. Jaylen Brown's listed at 6'6", 225. Would you call Jaylen Brown a guard or a wing? Like there you go. Like it is what it is. It is what it is. We could argue if it's a wing or a guard. He's not playing on the ball. It doesn't really matter. But he's listed as almost the exact same size as Jaylen Brown. And I certainly consider Jaylen Brown a wing. So, let's see. I wish I knew more. I wish I knew more. I don't know a ton about this dude. I'm trying to learn on the fly. I'm looking up Jalen Tyson's scouting reports. I know he can shoot. I know he played at 3 schools. I didn't do enough. I guess bad job by me, but he wasn't a guy I thought the Cavs would be particularly interested in. Let's see. According to Hoops Hype, his average mock draft selection spot was 31st. So in terms of that, it is certainly a reach. Phoenix is trading number 22 to Denver to take Daron Holmes. So Daron Holmes, who I wanted the Cavs to take at 20, goes number 22 to the Denver Nuggets. I have a feeling he's going to be a monster in Denver. An absolute monster in Denver. Okay, this is according to Hoops Hypes. This is not my scouting report. This is Hoop Hype's scouting report. Ideal measurements for the NBA at 6'7" with long arms. Utilizes power and ability to absorb contact effectively. Projected to play a shooting guard or small forward role in an NBA with the potential to fill in as a small ball power forward. Solid lateral quickness on the perimeter and vertical athleticism near the rim. Excels as a spot-up shooter and off-ball player. Displays above average passing skills with occasional flashy passes. High basketball IQ, excellent off-ball movement and cutting ability. Shot ready and quick release. Versatile player who can blend into any offense. Well, if you just read that, that sounds like a top 5 pick in the draft. Now for the weaknesses. Definitely not a defensive stopper. Tends to commit reckless turnovers. struggles at time with decision-making. Lack of an explosive first step makes him susceptible to defenders stripping the ball. An offensive game reliant on volume shooting that may not translate to the pros. That is from Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, excuse me. Well, if he is 6'7" with long arms, he's certainly not an undersized player. High basketball IQ and excellent off-ball movement and cutting ability fit a Kenny Atkinson offense. Shot ready with a quick release also fits into the Cavs' projected offense, especially if they go to a similar offense that Kenny Atkinson ran in Brooklyn, which we broke down a few days ago on UCSS. This is the 20th pick in the draft. I don't know what you guys were expecting. The Cavs are looking to get a guy who can contribute. And that's why I like da Silva and Holmes, particularly over some of the younger guys, because they would be more ready-made for the NBA. This guy at least appears on paper. He could be ready to play from day one. So I can understand the thinking of the pick. I can. Do I like it? I don't love it. I'll be honest. I don't love it. Nick, I'm still looking for your tweet onto why you liked Mormon so much. Your thing. Okay, here it is, Nick. Nick says he's an efficient playmaking wing. Yes, a wing at 6'7" with shoes who had no talent around him whatsoever and was still able to put up efficient numbers and only 21, yet he's not a 6-year college guy. Hey, once again, I will defer to people who watched more Jalen Tyson film than me. I will watch a ton before tomorrow's show. If you're getting a 6'7" wing who can score, you take that on your team any day. I mean, that's just the bottom line. How good is he? I don't know. I wish I could tell you, and I'm trying to be transparent. I wish I had more for you. Barber FN says, why the heck are we spending a 20 overall pick and a guy expected to fall to the second round? What the actual F word? I'm looking at here. Let's go back to ESPN. Let's see what they ranked on their scouting report for Jaylen Tyson. According to ESPN, he was the 31st overall player and the 17th ranked wing. According to ESPN. Strengths: a big, versatile wing who nearly doubled his scoring average at Cal to lead the Pac-12 in points per game. Weaknesses: he lacks high-end length and explosiveness, will likely need to scale down his shot selection and decision-making in a more compact off-ball role at the next level. Verdict from Jonathan Gavoni: Tyson was one of the most improved players in college basketball last season. He put the ball in the basket in a variety of ways, putting pressure on the rim and showing growth as a pull-up three-point shooter. His consistency off the ball on both ends will be a point of interest moving forward. And from Jeremy Wu, his post-draft analysis on the Cavs selecting Jaylen Tyson. And I quote, the Cavs land an NBA-ready wing in Tyson who should be able to slide into Cleveland's rotation next season and contribute off the bench. After multiple college stops, Tyson finally put himself on the map as a prospect in his lone season at Cal, vaulting himself into the first round. Having Tyson, who can score and create plays for teammates and shoot from range as a contributor on a rookie deal, fits Cleveland's current timeline nicely and boosts the depth of a competitive roster. If that's what they're getting, and once again, who knows? He's the 20th pick. He was their 31st overall prospect. He seems to fit, but I also don't love taking the 17th wing, 20th overall. If you were going wing, he's more ready-made than a Kyshawn George or a Johnny Furphy, who are the two highest-rated wings on the board left. But Jaylen Tyson seems more ready-made for the NBA game today, and the Cavs clearly were prioritizing getting a guy who could step in immediately and play on this 2024-2025 roster. Batman says, Altman pooped the bed and then pooped his pants. Shout out to Sly, who says, honestly, giving Amani minutes over him. Yeah, we'll see. They'll both be in the summer league this year. So we'll see. Tyson's a guy, by the way, who, according to the scouting report, should be a guy who dominates the summer league. He's a guy who is ready-made to play. And then if he is ready-made to play like they say, and once again, I will do more research for tomorrow. I'm not super familiar. If he is ready to play, he's a guy that should walk in and score 20 points a game in the summer league, essentially. So I don't love the pick. I don't hate the pick. I'm kind of neutral on it until I do a little more research. I thought Holmes on the board at 20 would have been a slam dunk. I would have been okay with Tyler Smith and the upside. He still isn't gone yet. I'm a bit surprised at 23, yet to be taken. Daron Holmes goes to Denver, which is an absolute killer. I mean, talk about an absolute killer. That is a perfect fit for Daron Holmes. And I'm just kind of neutral right now. So the Cavs drafted Jaylen Tyson 20th overall. The 6'6", 6'7", or 6'5", depending on what website you look at. Guard/wing from the University of California, who averaged 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists last year on 47-36 shooting splits. He appears to be ready-made. I'll read his scouting report one more time before we wrap up here, and then we will have more insight and analysis tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show when we all have a little bit of time to digest the pick and do a little research on what Jaylen Tyson brings to the table. But I will close with this from Jeremy Wu of ESPN on his post-draft analysis for the Cavs taking Jaylen Tyson at number 20. The Cavs land an NBA-ready wing player in Tyson who should be able to slide into Cleveland's rotation next season and contribute off the bench immediately. After multiple college stops, Tyson finally put himself on the map as a prospect, in his lone season at Cal, vaulting him into the first round. Having Tyson, who can score, create plays for teammates, and shoot from range as a contributor on a rookie deal, fits Cleveland's current timeline nicely and bolsters the depth of a competitive roster. He was not my first choice. He was not my second choice, but I don't think it's a terrible choice. And until I do more research, I'm going to leave it essentially at that. I appreciate the thousands of people who tuned in tonight. We went for an hour and 25 minutes. Tomorrow is Jason, Bull, and Tyvis on the panel. So make sure you guys tune into the Ultimate Cleveland Show as we break this down. We'll talk a little draft pick. Will the Cavs find a way into the second round? What's going to happen with Bronny? Do the Cavs have to change their offseason philosophy to now counter the Knicks? We're going to do an NFL draft, to figure out where the first round would go if every player was available. And yeah, that's what we got tomorrow. I appreciate from the bottom of my heart all you guys tuning in and listening to me talk for over 80 minutes, which is crazy. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.